Hello everyone, today I invite you to join me in New York for an exclusive focus on Qlik. Valued at $10 billion, the company has developed a comprehensive data management platform covering everything from data collection to analysis with a strong focus on visualization tools. Altaroc made a co-investment in the company as part of its 2024 vintage. Mike Capone, Qlik's CEO, welcomes us into his Manhattan office. Hello, Mike. Thank you very much for welcoming us in your New York office today. You are the CEO of Qlik. Could you please present us your background?
Sure, of course. And thank you, Damon, for being here as well. And we're very happy to welcome you to our office. As you mentioned, I'm CEO of Qlik. I've been in and around cloud computing companies for about 30 years of my career, starting out at ADP, which is a large global HR payroll company. So my last job there was CTO. In that responsibility, my job was basically to get 50 million people paid every payday, every week or every month. Subsequently, I went from there to a company called Medidata. So I did a turn in life sciences, technology for clinical trials and drug development. And that's really where I got my excitement about data and analytics, because we were using data to solve life sciences problems, help bring therapies, new drugs to market faster and safer. And so then my last turn for the last 7 years has been here at Qlik, working with Thoma Bravo to build this phenomenal data and analytics company. So
you also shared philanthropic foundations. You talked about ADP or Medidata.
It's philanthropic?
Philanthropic, yeah.
Yeah, well, in the case of, I've always had this philanthropic gene in my body where I wanted to find ways to give back to society. And long before I joined Medidata, I was on board with Leukemia Lymphoma Society, and I was really interested in health and the application of technology to health. And so when I got the call to potentially join Medidata, I was really interested because now I could apply my technology skills to life sciences. Since then, I've branched out quite a bit philanthropically. I'm on the board of a university. I even work with Orlando Bravo of Thoma Bravo fame on his charity, the Bravo Family Foundation. So it's a big part of what we do. And in fact, inside of Thoma Bravo, it's an important part of what we do.
Could you please introduce us to Qlik? Your company is now valued at around $10 billion with a revenue of $1.5 billion in 2024.
So Qlik was founded in Sweden over 30 years ago as this really cool visual analytics company. So when you think of the history of analytics, you probably think going back to the business objects days, Cognos, companies like that. They were interesting, but they were very IT heavy, right? You needed developers to work on it, and it really wasn't empowering for an end user. You basically took what you got. In the south of Sweden, in Lund, the team invented a new kind of capability, visual analytics based on in-memory technology. So really fast, really powerful, but also really easy to use. So the ability for end users to get value out of data. And that really fueled the company for many, many years until kind of mid, like 2016-ish. And then I know we'll talk about the take private, but at that point we realized that more was needed. And so where we ended up was thinking about expanding our utility to our customers. And when I talked to CEOs and chief data officers and CIOs, they kept saying, analytics are great, but more and more, my challenge is harnessing all of this data. I've got so much data in the cloud, on premise, in a mainframe, and now social media. Help me with that. Help me with that problem. Help me extract and govern and transform and move that data more and more into modern cloud data lake capabilities like Snowflake or Databricks. And then help me analyze it, which Qlik does really, really well. And then, of course, use AI on top of it to get really good insights and outcomes. So we've done, as of yesterday, we closed on our 16th acquisition. 16, a little company called Upsolver. But what we've really done is build that platform out. So we've expanded to sort of one capability, really to a full data analytics and AI platform.
In 2016, Thoma Bravo acquired Qlik for $3 billion.
Yes.
Why did you decide to open your capital to private equity?
Yeah, I think, there are benefits to being public, and then there are benefits to being private. Qlik clearly needed to go through a transformation. And that transformation was to move from an on-premise, perpetual-based software company to a more modern, cloud-based company, and obviously get to a more recurring revenue subscription model. It's a normal transition for companies. The problem is, in public markets, that's really hard to do, because every quarter you're explaining to investors, like, okay, why did your GAAP revenue change? What happened? And you have to explain, ratable revenue and concepts, and then 606 accounting came along. So there's a lot of complexities. That was one. And then second, and again, I wasn't here for this, but I know the story. I joined in 2018. It was the right partnership. Thoma Bravo, technology-oriented private equity firm, they had a really compelling vision for what they could help Qlik do. So the combination of those two things made it a really, really compelling idea, and obviously the results speak for themselves.
Less than 10 years later, your valuation has tripled. What do you think are the key factors behind this?
Yeah, I think it's a few things. I think, one is great execution, right? So we've taken the company from, kind of a modest grower, break-even-ish on the margins, to now, double-digit ARR growth with mid-40s margins. So, comfortably a rule of 50 company. But more importantly, we've built a platform that is perfect for the world today. So we saw the AI thing coming. Like, we've been getting ready for this moment for like 8 years, where we said, companies are going to need to be able to harness data at high velocity in real time at scale. And so I think strategically we made a lot of good decisions about where to invest and how to invest. And that's really paid off for us. And then, of course, we've done the things you need to do, like transition to subscription and cloud, very, very well also. So I think the combination of all those things and the partnership with Thoma Bravo really, helped us get to that nice valuation increase. And we're still going, like, we're just getting started.
What are the daily benefits of having a private equity fund like Thoma Bravo as a partner?
Yeah, well, I think Thoma Bravo is exceptional. I admit I'm a little bit biased. First of all, they specialize in technology. They are best in class in terms of understanding technology. So I don't spend a lot of my time explaining basic technology concepts to them. They're super value add to me. They run a portfolio of dozens and dozens of technology companies. So they have a lot of expertise. They've seen a lot of things. So it's really a great partnership that way. Second of all, they know how to do M&A. So there's no way that I get to do 16 acquisitions. My corp development department is 2 people, and I've done 16 deals. Some of them really small, but some of them quite material, like Talent, for example, very sizable acquisition. I couldn't have done that without Thoma Bravo, both their expertise in modeling, in diligence, and obviously the capital markets team is second to none. And they have terrific relationships with Altaroc, with others, right, that help us raise capital when we need it. So there's absolutely no way I could have done this without Thoma Bravo's partnership.
So you accelerated your shift to a SaaS model.
That's right.
How did private equity help you manage this transition?
A couple of ways. First, they kept us out of the public markets while we were doing it, right? Because it was just very easy to go through the model transition. They very much understood the curve in revenue, the shift in GAAP revenue when you move from, perpetual, all the money comes in at once, to subscription, now it's ratable over time. And so, they were financially, they very much understood. I didn't have to spend a lot of time explaining that. But second, they had taken other companies through this transition, right? So we weren't the first. In fact, I'd argue we're a little bit late. I think we got to the party late. So the first thing I did when I got here was make that turn. But they were helpful. They brought operating partners to the table. They put me in touch with other CEOs who had been through the transition. And, it was really accretive to what we were trying to do. Your
size makes you eligible to be a publicly traded company.
Yeah.
Are you considering going public in the coming years?
It's certainly an option. We think we'd make sense as a public company. We've got a nice growth rate. We have great free cash flow, nicely profitable. So certainly, if at some point the opportunity presents itself and the public markets are open to it, we would consider that. We would also, but all options are on the table, right? We're not in a rush to do anything. As you know, we just recapitalized the company, took in some additional investment, and so that that's going to sustain us for a while. What I would say is that our job is to just do the right things every day, and usually the rest will take care of itself.
How has being owned by a private equity fund impacted Qlik's governance?
I've worked in public companies my entire life until I got to private equity. And honestly, I didn't know a ton about private equity before I joined. I met Orlando Bravo, and that was my first foray into private equity. And he's super compelling. He's really good at describing his vision and the investment themes of Thoma Bravo. What I like about private equity and TB in particular is that it's just a no nonsense, right? We really focus on the business, on the problems of the business, on the opportunities of the business. And we have all the governance. We have a very strict audit committee. We have a very strict comp committee. So we do all the important things that public companies do, but we're very efficient, right? And what I've found is working in private equity is I get to spend more of my time focusing on the business of customers and growth, and a little less of my time on the business of the business, right? And the efficiency is a gift to a CEO when you're trying to drive growth and profitability like we are.
How have you managed to preserve your culture of innovation while meeting investors' expectations for profitability and growth?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think with a lot of investors, they equate spending with success, and that's not. If you spend more on something, it must be better. And we don't believe that. We don't believe more is better. We believe better is better, right? So my job is to use our dollars more efficiently. So take the R&D spend. Some people will say to me, "Oh, well, your E to R, your ratio of R&D spend against your revenue, is lower than some of your competitors, or is way lower than some of my competitors, like Salesforce and Microsoft and others that we compete with." But we're not underspending. What we're doing is we're spending wisely. So my R&D centers are in Sweden, they're in Ottawa, Canada, they're in Israel, they're not in Silicon Valley, they're not in Boston, right? They're not in high cost locations with high turnover, but I get really good talent. I get really highly educated, very loyal talent. The second thing is we leverage our balance sheet really well. We have capital, and M&A is a terrific way to accelerate innovation. So we've been able to do these 16 acquisitions, some of them big and transformative, but some of them, smaller. But what they've done is they've allowed us to kind of leapfrog our competitors in terms of a capability, whether it be data lineage or data governance. What we announced recently was Upsolver, which is a streaming into Iceberg kind of technology. It would have taken us time to go build that, but what we're really good at with Thoma's help is sourcing high potential, really smart companies with reasonable valuations. Let's put it that way. And we do that because we've got this big global network that we're able to source companies from.
Yes, and they have their playbook as well. So right. they do it again and again and again.
That's right.
With the rise of artificial intelligence and data integration, how is Qlik positioning itself to address these new challenges?
Like I said, we've been getting ready for this moment for the last 8 years. So we knew this was coming. AI is not new. I think everybody is all excited, but I studied AI in college many, many years ago. So it's pattern recognition. What has changed though is obviously massive compute capability, right? So the ability to scale compute horizontally, and then the algorithms have gotten smarter. People have gotten better, and now we've had the breakthrough to consumer, right? So I think OpenAI and ChatGPT really kind of opened people's eyes to it. But we've known this was coming. So I think the most important thing we've done is we've built this data platform that allows people to harness data from anywhere at high velocity, and more importantly, to govern it. AI is only going to be as good as the data that you feed into it. And you and I have already seen horrible stories about AI being applied and getting ridiculous answers out of it. And it's because the underpinning of data is terrible, right? And the data wasn't governed and curated. And we do that really well. The extraction, the velocity of it, the temporal aspect of it, as well as the governance, the security, all those things, better than anybody, because we built an end-to-end platform to do that. And then second, we built our own capabilities around it. And what's nice is that it's all in one platform. So we have something called Qlik Answers, which is, it's a Gen AI tool. It allows you to ask questions of unstructured data, but it's all in the same platform. So you're not putting your data over here, putting it over there, pulling it out, running R and Python code on it. It's all in one platform. It's really resonating with our customers, and it's AI done right.
Does the support of a fund like Thoma Bravo help you better anticipate these trends and maintain your leadership in that market?
Of course it does. I think TB, like most PE firms, operates with a healthy degree of paranoia. So one of their roles is to constantly challenge me. Literally, Orlando Bravo just called me out of the blue, like he does sometimes, to ask me questions about a company in the space and how we work with them, and are they a partner, are they a threat? I mean, that's every day. And so there's no sleeping on the job with TB. Not to say we wouldn't do that ourselves, but when you have a sponsor that's into 60 or plus technology companies and is constantly scanning the market and keeping up, what better sort of control can you have in place than folks like that?
Of course. What are your upcoming projects?
Yeah, well, right now, we did this talent acquisition, and it's gone really, really well. So we're super pleased with the way it's gone. We've launched the integrated product set this summer. So Qlik Talent Cloud is the amalgamation of those two products, the integration of those products into one platform. There's more work to do. There's always more work to do. So building out a fully integrated platform, partnering with our customers to really do AI the right way. So our mantra really is, you have to do the work. A lot of people think you can plug in an LLM or you can plug in, ChatGPT, and all of a sudden you're going to get all the answers to all your problems in business. This is not true. I mean, Altaroc knows that. Smart investors know that. So it is lay the foundation. So what we find ourselves in now is very consultative processes with our customers about the future. All the excitement, all the initial excitement and hype of AI is dying down, and now it's really about how do I do it right. So we think that's the case. So we're going to continue to do that. The good news is, we're not capital constrained. I've got very motivated sponsors in Thoma Bravo and now Audio that are willing to continue to invest in the company. So we'll continue to look for smart acquisitions. But look, we love the hand we've been dealt. If this was a card game and I was holding my cards, I'd be very happy right now because I really feel like we're in the right place, right time, with the right kind of leadership and partnership with our investors.
That's perfect.
Yes.
Last question. In the United States, you've known private equity for many decades.
Yeah.
It's opening more and more to the French people, for instance.
Yeah.
What's your vision about that?
Yeah, look, I like the idea of democratization of private equity. I know typically it's been for large funds or for pension funds or things like that, and that makes total sense. But there is value in allowing more people to diversify their portfolios and their holdings. And look, private equity is an amazing counterbalance to shorter term investments, but it's been. To be fair, it's been a little bit of a black box, to a lot of people. So I believe in the democratization of it. I do think in the industry, it's incumbent upon us, like me and you and others, to make it less of a black box, to create more transparency so people really understand how private equity works and the investments. I think if we can do that, I think vehicles are already emerging where people can invest safely and smartly in private equity. So overall, I think it's a good idea, but this requires a little bit of governance.
Thank you so much, Mike. Congratulations on everything. Thank you.
My pleasure, Damien. Thank you. Thanks for visiting us here in New York.